Alright boys, welcome back to the channel now. Saturdays is something very, very different on the channel. Not Football Manager. It is still football, but we're going to be football, real life football related videos. And today we're going to start off this new series with signings Manchester United need to make this summer. Now I've got lots of other content coming over the next few weeks. We're looking at the EPL Team of the Year. I'm going to pick my Euros squad. We're also going to talk about Arsenal no longer being a big club. Lots of other ideas as well. If you want to see anything, what you think would be a good subject to talk about for the next 10 minutes, let me know down in the comments. Muchly appreciated. Smash a like on today's video for me. And yeah, let's get into the players Manchester United need to sign this summer. Okay, so 4 key positions I think Man United need to look at. In particular, centre-half, a number 6, a defensive midfielder. We need to solve the right side of midfield, sort of like the right wing slot. And we also, I think, even though Edinson Cavani has signed a new one-year deal, I do think going forward we need to have another option, another striker up there for next season. That's key. Now, these are signings that could potentially happen. These are all signings as well that I think within a budget, and I'm going to also show you 3 players that need to be shown the door to help balance the books a little bit. I think these could all be pulled off. It isn't as if I've just picked 4 of the best players in the world for every single slot. There's ideas, methods to the madness. All right, let's dive in. The first position we want to look at is centre-half. Now, currently Man United have a decent number of centre-halves. They have obviously Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Eric Bailly, Phil Jones is still there, and Axel Tuanzebe. I think the latter, Solskjaer definitely doesn't fancy Tuanzebe. That may change, I think, maybe over the next couple of years. Eric Bailly's just signed a new deal. I am a big fan of Eric Bailly, but he's never going to reach 40, 50 games a season. There's always injuries that can pick up. So I think really he needs to be sort of like the third centre-half. Phil Jones is probably a write-off and may even leave in the summer. I think that's a little bit of business that could potentially also be done. And then Victor Lindelof, once again, I'm just not the biggest fan of him. I think he's not great. He's not great in the air, even though he's 6'2". He's not the most aggressive defender. Now, I do think Man United are probably going to try and strengthen it. There's a couple of other players that have been linked. Jules Koundé of Sevilla. He's going to cost a lot of money. I believe they paid well over sort of like 20, 30 million pounds for him. They're going to want maybe 60, 70 million potentially. He is also 5'10". And for me, 5'10", he is obviously quite quick on the ground. He's decent on the ball, but 5'10". We've seen the problems that Lindelof has faced sometimes in the Premier League and European games where he's not been able to cope defensively. I can always remember the guy from West Brom scored against us a couple of months ago where he was just completely out-battled, out-muscled, and I do think Man United could get away with another big centre-half to work alongside Maguire. The player I have picked is someone who is physically very strong, aggressive, good on the ball, and has a decent amount of pace. And best of all, I think we can get him for around £30 million. The player is Nikola Milenkovic. The Serbian from Fiorentina has just 1 year left on his deal. So I think a deal could be done anything around sort of like £30 million. I think would probably get him. Fiorentina have not had a great season. They're down in the bottom end of the table, the bottom half. They're going to have no European football next season. He will no doubt want to go, I would have thought, and push on. He's been at Fiorentina since 2017, so he's had a few years bedded in at a top flight club, and Fiorentina definitely won't want him leaving on a free in the summer of 2022. Now, he's 6'5", very aggressive, likes to defend on the front foot. I think this will suit Manchester United in terms of I don't necessarily think Harry Maguire needs to be on the right side. He's adapted well to the left side, plays it for England, has built up a decent understanding with Luke Shaw. So I think the need for a left-sided centre-half is not as maybe as important as it was a couple of years ago. So Harry Maguire on the left. I do think sometimes Harry Maguire looks awkward when he has to step in front and try and nick things, try and win things, maybe gets caught out and doesn't necessarily have the pace to turn and get back in as quickly as what Milenkovic does. So that would probably suit Maguire in terms of him just maybe dropping off a little bit more, letting Milenkovic go in. Milenkovic is a very aggressive presser. He does like to go in and engage with a striker. But that's just not his game. He is similar to sort of like a Vidic, who was very good at getting in and elbows and arms and conceding fouls and been very aggressive on the front foot. However, Milenkovic does possess a decent amount of ball skills. He is very good at passing. Fiorentina have played quite a direct style this year, so he has been asked to play a wide variety of mid to long range passes. And I think at £30 million, 23 years old, so he fits the bill of Man United signing younger players with a chance to develop and push them onto that next level. And I think at 30 million, in this day and age, 30 million would not be a risk. So there is my first choice centre-half, hopefully for this summer. Nikola Milenkovic, the 23-year-old Serbian from Fiorentina. I think £30 million, because he's got 1 year left on his deal, would be enough to secure his services. Okay, so there's the centre-half done. We're now going to move into the defensive midfielder slot. The next two positions I think are quite obvious, and especially how one season has kind of come to an end. I do think there's a chance that we may be able to, or someone, maybe not Manchester United, but someone's going to be able to snap this player up. So for the number 6 role, we want a holding midfielder, ideally someone who can sit in there. I think at the moment we've got Fred and McTominay, both are kind of 8s and not 6s, and we're having to sort of like play both of them because either one of them is not good enough to play alongside a Pogba. So I think ideally we'd like to see Pogba dropping back into an 8 and then having a really good, a prime Matic would be perfect, but obviously he's well past it now. So the number 6, the holding midfielder, I think that we should be looking at getting this season is Declan Rice. Now I'm kind of basing this on what we've seen as well over the last few weeks. I did kind of think at first that maybe only 3 transfers and we could maybe get away another season with not having another player who can play as a 6. But after seeing performances of McTominay and Fred, they're just not at that elite level, I think. And having to play them both does mean that we've got an issue potentially with what we do with Paul Pogba. We want to see Donny van der Beek play more games. So if we had a better sitting holding midfielder of the calibre of Declan Rice, it would free the team up more to get in a Pogba, Donny van der Beek, etc. Now, Declan Rice, I think the main thing around this is that if West Ham got Champions League, he wouldn't have left. Even if they got Europa League, I think he would stay in it. Just at the moment, it maybe looks like if Tottenham can win the last couple of games, it may look like they may not even get Europa League football. If that's the case, then he may decide the time is right to move on. We're not sure how now Lampard's gone, how much Chelsea are going to be interested. Look, he's going to cost a lot of money. We're talking probably 80 to 100 million pounds. But at 22 years old, you're looking at him being the number 6 for the next 8 to 10 years. He's English. He is exactly what England need. Exactly what England need, but exactly what Manchester United. I don't think we necessarily need someone who is amazing on the ball. We don't need a really good defensive midfielder who's going to get the ball down and spray constantly forward and 40, 50-yard passes and dictating things from deep. If we play Rice, you could have a Paul Pogba next to him that can maybe do that for him. I think he would necessarily just be in there to ball recovery, getting play, moving, progressing the play simply. And yeah, that's going to cost a lot of money. It's anything. It could cost anything between 80 and 100 million. I think if a deal can be done for him, you need to jump on him, because if not, someone else, if it's not done this summer, you never know, a Chelsea, a Manchester City, anybody, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, anybody, Juventus could come in and snap him up. So I think this summer, Manchester United really need to look at strengthening in there, and it would free up the rest of the squad perfectly, and then it would free up the rest of the side, in particular, getting Paul Pogba in. Obviously, Pogba's played out on the left-hand side, but that's unbalanced us a little bit. Even though he's done well on that left-hand side, playing Rashford on the right hasn't worked at all. So having Pogba back in as a number 8 alongside Rice, I think would be an exceptional midfield with Bruno Fernandes just in front. All right, there is the first two. Now, the third one is the right side of midfield. It's an obvious one. I think the issues that we've had over the last few weeks is Pogba playing on the left, Rashford not comfortable on the right. Mason Greenwood is good, but we haven't really got another option out there. Obviously, the option is to move Mason Greenwood up front as well, but I do often think with Rashford, Fernandes being goal threats, Cavani being a goal threat, on this right-hand side, we need a real playmaker, a creator, and it has to be Jadon Sancho. Obviously very comfortable on the right-hand side. It looks like he's going to be available this summer in and around anything between maybe even 60 to 80 million pounds. It would balance us up nicely. Him being a creator, he is used to playing in the 3 roles as well across the front. So, back up for Rashford, Bruno Fernandes. We don't really have another number 10 that could go in and just Even though Fernandes obviously wants to play every single week, it would be good to have another option in there. Sancho has done that. He's played across the 3 attacking slots, as in the left-hand side, in behind as maybe a shadow striker, as a playmaker, and obviously on the right-hand side. It would suit us perfectly. I do think Rashford, even though he's done very well with assists this season, Bruno Fernandes with assists, they're more goal-getters. And I do think as well, playing against a low block, having the creativity of someone like Jadon Sancho would be very beneficial when we're playing against that low block. It's still something we've struggled. Mason Greenwood, when he plays on that right-hand side, is a goal-getter, not so much a creator. And yeah, it needs to be done. He's English, he's young, he fits the bill, he's going to be available this summer. A transfer that is obvious, and fingers crossed United can bring him in this summer. Now, the last one's an interesting one. Even though Cavani has signed a new deal, he's only going to be 1 year, he's 34, going on 35 for next season. I do think that he's not going to be able to play every single week. He has, even though, to be fair, once he got himself fit at United, he's not been too bad in terms of games. However, likely to get injured at some point. I do worry that him getting injured and being out for maybe 2-3 months of the season and having to play a Mason Greenwood up there who's at the moment physically not developed. We keep forgetting Mason Greenwood's only 19. He's built up his link-up play, playing back to goal up against, imagine him playing up against John Stones and Ruben Dias. I think he would still struggle. We may get away with it against lesser opposition. Also playing against a low block, having a Cavani-type player, I think has been very important. Headers, tap-ins, goals that necessarily a Rashford, a Martial, Mason Greenwood do not get. Now, this player is a bit of a wildcard, as I said. He's only 21 years old. I think we can get him relatively cheaply, and in cheaply I mean sort of like 30 to 40 million. We're heading back to Fiorentina, and it is Dusan Vlahovic. The 21-year-old Serbian at Fiorentina has had a fantastic season. He has scored 21 times this season for Fiorentina in 33 appearances. Now, I do think he can be available. I don't think Fiorentina are in a position to say no. He cost relatively cheap. I think he cost something around 2 million euros only a couple of seasons ago. So I think a bid of 30, 40 million may see another Serbian join the club. Now, I don't think for 1 minute this transfer is going to happen, but I'm just thinking about a long-term option as well for us up front. Now, obviously, we do have players such as Joe Hugel, Charlie McNeil coming through the youth system, but they're going to be, 3, 4, 5, 6 years maybe off being able to be an established number 9. Mason Greenwood, I think naturally we'll look at having him in as the number 9. However, he still needs time to develop, whereas Vlahovic can come in, learn off one of the best centre forwards in the past, 10, 20 years. Classic number 9, Dusan Vlahovic as well. I'm going to put a little link down in the comments below just for people that are aware of him, the amount of what kind of goals he scores. He's left-footed. A lot of his goals, he scored 4 or 5 penalties, but a lot of his goals have been inside the penalty area, inside the sort of like the 6-yard box, tap-ins. Goals that we don't get if Cavani is not on the pitch. Rashford, Greenwood all like to float out wide. Martial as well don't necessarily like to get inside that 6-yard box. And I think not having Cavani playing against a low block, I think Vlahovic at being 6'3", decent amount of pace as well for a big guy. He's going to be more mobile than Cavani. Obviously a lot quicker than Cavani. And I think he would be a handful. Great opportunity for him, as I said, to learn off Cavani for a season. He works hard. He leads the line well for Fiorentina. They've played a lot of direct. He's lost possession. One thing that he needs to improve on is keeping hold of the ball. However, Fiorentina do play quite direct. Often he's been quite isolated, and I think over time, having players closer to him, more support that he would have in a Manchester United side, you would see his numbers improve in that area. And yeah, that is it. They are the 4 players that I would love to see. Now, that's going to cost anywhere between maybe 200 bare minimum to probably 250 million if there's 250. Now, I don't think, even though they probably could afford it, I think those 4 players would see us get even closer to Manchester City. And also, we've got a squad then that is good to go for the next 3 or 4 years. And then over the next few seasons, you would imagine just pick up a player here and there, add to the squad. We've still got a lot of youngsters coming through. However, with the Glazers, I can't imagine them being happy laying out 250 million. So I thought, right, what could Man United sell? Now, the obvious one is obviously Jesse Lingard. I think even though he's had a very good season at West Ham and it's brilliant to see him doing well, I think maybe the time has come for him to move on. If they're paying 35, 40 million for Benrahma from from Brentford. Can Manchester United get a deal done for him for 40 million? I think even if West Ham can't afford it, other teams, maybe a Spurs, maybe an Arsenal, an Aston Villa, someone like that may be interested in spending good money on an experienced player who's ready to go. And I think 35 to 40 million pounds for Jesse Lingard would be a good deal for someone. So there's the first one out. The second one out is Dan James. I just don't think he's got the quality, and the players that we could potentially sign, and players like Diallo as well coming through, his time is going to be limited. Even though he's done quite well this season in spells, I do think Dan James would be a good option to sell on. Maybe 20 to 25 million pounds, and I imagine once again with him being British, a lot of English Premier League clubs, so like that mid-tier level Premier League clubs, would be interested in picking him up. Even Leeds United were close to signing him before. Would they go out and spend 20, 25 million? Maybe not, but I think there'll definitely be money in Dan James to get him out of the door. And the last one, probably the most controversial one, is Anthony Martial. I'm not the biggest fan of him. He does have these moments of brilliance where he just pops up and he'll do an amazing bit of skill, a run, a finish. But for me, over the course of a 90 minutes, especially in a lot of big games, he just doesn't contribute enough. He doesn't press well. He doesn't lead the line well. He's done it on occasions. I think he did it well against Manchester City once. I think when we beat them at the Etihad in the league, he held the ball up pretty well. But I think in general, he's not kicked on as much. I do think with Rashford on the left, if you have Jadon Sancho as well, who can play on the left as well, play on the right, Martial can either do left or strike, or as a striker. I would always, if Cavani's fit, I would always go for a Cavani. You've got also Mason Greenwood coming through as a backup. If you're going to sign those players, we need to sell players, and I think signing my four and then having Martial go, I don't think we would miss him at all. And you would imagine there would be a lot of suitors around Europe, maybe spend 40, 50 million pounds on him. I would say we'd maybe get 50 million. Would we get 50 million from PSG? Yeah, we probably would. We probably would. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode. There is going to be more videos every Saturday over the next few weeks. We're going to really give it a push over the summer with the Euros coming. Over the next few weeks, I think next week we're gonna pick my EPL team, my Premier League team of the season. We're also going to look at my Euro squad for 2021 and other interesting topics. We're going to talk about Arsenal as well in a couple of weeks. Just talking about are they still regarded as a big club? I do enjoy chatting football on my stream, so I thought I would give this a go. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Said any other ideas, videos you want to see, drop it in the comments down below. Go check out that Vlahovic video. Trust me, he would be a fantastic addition this summer. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. See you later.